One of the biggest questions everybody always asks each other and certainly judges each other on is, how do you organize your records? Do you do them alphabetically? Do you do them by artist, last name, first name? Do you put the records in place from every artist? Do you do it like Rob from High Fidelity, where your whole collection is in chronological order? How do you organize your records? I'm going to show you a little bit about how I organize mine and leave it open for discussion. Alright, so if you go on the internet and you look around at vinyl discussions or even digital discussions as far as CDs or other formats, people are always asking each other, how do you organize your records? So I thought I'd show everybody a little bit about how I do it and then see what everybody else, how they do theirs. And I've got a couple of different examples on deck that I want to show you. One thing that I personally do is I will take any artist and put their records in chronological order of release. It just is a big thing for me because I like knowing when albums came out and then grabbing each record depending on where they're at in their career. I've heard some people say that they don't like to do that because they don't know what albums came out when. With the information age today, you can just Google it and see what albums came out in which order. Some people throw them in the order that they bought them in, or maybe their favorites to least. But for me personally, like if you look at Pearl Jam, I just put them in chronological order. So for me, 10, I have the Record Store Day press of Pearl Jam Unplugged, which happened after 10 came out, but before Versus, so I have that next. Then Versus, Vitalogy, No Code, and so on. I personally, if I have any concert bootlegs or unofficial recordings, I just put them in where they go. So I have this unofficial bootleg from the No Code tour by Pearl Jam. I put that right in there in between No Code and Yield. So that's a little bit about how I do that with a particular band where there's no outlying circumstances. Do they have solo cuts or not? Doing this video right here because in front of that I've got Ozzy Osbourne, who was very famously part of Black Sabbath ahead of time. So that begs the question, do you put Ozzy Osbourne on his own? Do you put him in with Black Sabbath? How do you do that? Me personally, this is very much a personal preference situation. Ozzy Osbourne is an insanely successful artist in his own right, and there are many people all over the world who view Ozzy as much of a solo artist as he ever was in Black Sabbath, and he's got a huge catalog. So for me, that warrants him having his own section. And again, I put everything in chronological order according to release. So Diary comes after Blizzard, Speak of the Devil being after that, Bark at the Moon after that, and so on. I keep Black Sabbath in their own section, but there are little things to do with this organization that kind of get tricky. For example, I have a couple of solo records from members of the Foo Fighters, Nate Shiflett, Taylor Hawkins. They don't have a huge solo career of their own. They're not really known as solo artists, and I only have one record by each of them, so I just filed them in with the Foo Fighters. Steven Tyler from Aerosmith has the one country solo record and is not known for anything on his own solo, so I threw his record in with there. On the other hand, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, John Lennon, well-established solo artists, but part of arguably one of the biggest bands of all time, so what do you do there? Again, personal preference. For me, I put those three artists under their own. And then it can even get more divisive within a band. So you take Pink Floyd, Roger Waters and David Gilmour, extremely well established on their own as far as solo artists goes. But Nick Mason and Richard Wright also have solo records, and they are not established as their own individual artists. So what do you do there? For me personally, I gave David Gilmour his own section, and I gave Roger Waters his own section, and the releases that I own from Nick Mason and Richard Wright, I just threw in with Pink Floyd. Anybody raging yet? Anybody going, I can't believe you did that. Why would you do that? How can you say that about one artist and not another? Well, that's the whole point of this video. I want to know how you do your organization. Can you not believe that Roger Waters and David Gilmour get their own section, but Nick Mason doesn't? Can you not believe that I don't put Ozzy in with Sabbath and I keep the Lennon and McCartney separate from the Beatles? Or do you agree with all of this? Or did you pick up a tip that you're going to do your collection this way? Or do you have a tip for me? Leave the comment below. I think this is one of the coolest things to discuss because it's one of those things about record collecting that's so personal. not only does everyone organize their records differently, but everyone thinks that their way is the absolute right way to do it. So this is how I do it. Makes sense for me. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you do it. And let's have ourselves a discussion. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you stop by infectiousgroupodcast.com and subscribe to the show. But more importantly, get in the discussion. I want to hear it. I want to know how you organize your records.